Hello. You can unmute yourself and say hi. Hi.
Hello.
How is everyone? Peace out. Scott will be back. That's his symbol for he'll be back.
Is Scotty doing it from his iPad?
That's a yes.
He was quiet on our end.
He was muffled on our end, and I think if he's doing it on his iPad, maybe if he makes you or us host, because we couldn't mute people, and so when he was talking and stuff, other people were coming up, and I was like, oh, I can't press mute.
Okay, good to know. I didn't realise that. So the iPad's quieter.
Only his. I don't know if they all
unless maybe it's just us.
Maybe it is us.
Ivana, you were on before. Could you hear it loud enough? Was it loud for you both? Mm-hmm. Was Scott quiet, or could you hear Scott before?
Yeah. No, it's clear as usual, but was clear.
Okay, so Han just also gave the feedback that the iPad might be quieter. Sorry, you're on mute, babe.
I need to look at that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I need to look at that because the picture is better and it's very, very easy to use.
Okay, Shane, have you got some techie advice? How do you?
No, even now, I don't know why. Like, Karina, you're coming through really loud, but when
in a good way,
when Scott talks, it's like half the volume. It's half the volume of.
Yeah.
I don't. Even what he's using right now, which I assume is not the iPad. Oh, it is the iPad.
You can tell by the angle it's coming up at his chin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Where's
don't know.
Shane?
What was that?
Where's the microphone?
I don't use the iPad very often. So.
We have one.
No, let me see if I can work.
We actually have 3.
Sorry, guys. Jess, could I ask you something?
Yeah.
Could anybody hear me? I'm Margarita, sorry.
Hi, Margarita.
I have an iPad, so we can test eventually. If you hear me very good, I'm with an iPad. So we can test that the problem eventually with Scott could be the same.
I can hear you really well, Margarita.
Okay, I am with an iPad, so perhaps it's not the problem of the iPad. With it.
No, let's blame the iPad.
I mean, Scott, before I understood that he was with an iPad. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is.
You sound louder now, Scotty.
That's right. We'll go with it.
But what I was chatting to Karina before you jumped on was just about when you're using the iPad, if maybe it's a good idea for Karina or us to be hosts just so we can mute people while you're talking, because it seemed like some people didn't know how to mute themselves.
Does it sound louder now? No, it's kind of
really.
We can still hear you. It's just muffled compared to the rest
Hey,
of them.
Scotty, do you have like a cover on your iPad? Could the cover be maybe covering the microphone? No?
I do not have a cover on the iPad.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Where is it? Okay, let's not talk about the iPad anymore.
He'll work it out for next week's call. We'll test it beforehand.
All right, how's everyone doing? Good? Just to clear up any confusion, about obviously the start of the shred dates, it got pushed back. A week. Obviously, the rolling start moved. You guys all know that, right? The measuring dates are actually, I want to say, the 1st of July, just so you all know that, which makes it seem like it's going to end up being a short cleanse, a short shred. It's only, if you did the full 2 weeks, then it's 9 weeks. If you started last Sunday, it'll be 8 weeks. And if your clients or you started this Sunday, which is the last day of the rolling start, your cleanse will actually only end up being 7 weeks. Did I say that right, Jessica? You'll know. Jess? Sorry. Did I say that
right? Trouble. Jessica. I have no idea. The way that I understand it is they can start any time between that period, but they have to stick. I think we're frozen, so I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Apparently, most people still hear me even when I'm frozen. So we'll keep talking. But the way that I understand it is it doesn't matter what time they start between that rolling start, as long as they
We'll just see if Jess comes back on.
No, she's gone. She's gone off to have a cry. Wouldn't be a phone call without Jess crying. No, we lost you, Jess. All right, I'm going to work. All righty. So that's kind of the details on the cleanse, just so you know. Jess might have dropped off and she'll come back in a minute. I wanted to chat about, if you will, just extend last week's conversation. I know I kind of went crazy about the vision. And what is that? Jess, you back? No, that's Melanie talking to her kid. When they talk, that's all good. Just got to unmute. Karina, you need to change it to active speak to non-active speaker. I want to talk about this vision a bit more. And I know we talked last week that I'd have Adam come and chat to you about the numbers, about what do you make when you're at 3 club, and what do you make it when you're at 9 club, and what do you make at 12 club, and so forth. But I think we're not ready for that. And what I think is important in my job, in coaching and in this business, I know lots of you got value out of the conversation last week about what's your vision. And many of you, not all of you, but many of you posted what you want to create in the next 12 months and 1 year and 2 years, which is cool. I just wanted to see if anybody needed to flesh that out at all or chat about it some more. Some of you were good at being able to work out what that meant. Karina, there's some funky noises going on, so do some magic. I just wanted to chat to see if anybody needed to chat some more about that, about what that looks like and how do you calculate it. Some people have never thought about those things in advance. Some people have never thought about what money they need or want. And the reason I think this is important is because my experience is, and I've been teaching wealth for 15 years, most people around money fall in one of two camps. They either, when they think about how much money they need and what financial freedom means and how much money they need to be free or retire, whatever that word means. And most people, when you ask them that question, how much money do you need? How much money do you want? How much money do you need to have to do whatever you want to do? They either say this. They either say, oh, fuck, I have no idea. They have no idea. They have no clue about how much money they need to be able to quit their job. They have no clue how much money they need to buy the house they want to buy. They have no clue how much money it costs them to drive the car they want to drive or have the holiday they want to have or do the contribution they want to have. And you and I know if your brain doesn't know what it's looking for, it can't find it. If I send you to the airport and say, go pick up my friend Max, and you don't know what Max looks like or what plane he's coming in from, there's no way you can find Max because you got to know nothing about him. Your brain cannot find what it doesn't know that it's looking for. So people either fall into that group, they have no idea. And that's the masses. If there's 6 million Australians tonight watching amateur TV, and by amateur TV, I mean an amateur person singing, dancing, cooking, or renovating, most of those 6 million people would have no clue how much money they need to be financially free or quit their job. So that's category one. We don't want to be in that category. Your brain cannot find what it doesn't know to look for. Without a vision, people die. That's a pretty big sentence. The second camp that people fall into, and there's usually only 2 camps when you say to people, how much money do you want to have? Why are you here? What do you want? The second camp they fall into is the camp that lots of overly optimistic people fall into, which is, I need $100 million. I need $50,000 a month. I need $2 million. And they say these big, crazy numbers that they don't really understand or know what it means. They don't really know what $2 million looks like, what that translates to, what that turns like into income. When they say, I want $50,000 a month, or I want $2 million a year, right? they don't really know what that breaks down to in terms of what I call the important things: car payments, house payments, and grocery payments. And I think, and so what happens is, same thing, when your brain says these big numbers, it says, I want to make $50,000 a month, or I want to make $1 million a year, or I want to be a 500 clubber. I think the same thing happens. Your brain doesn't really know what that means, and it doesn't know what to do with it. It's a framework that it can't use. I read some great research once about kids playing in a playground, and they did an experiment. They took the fence down away from the playground. So just think about a big grass field, some swings and slides, and no fence. And the kids would only play where the playground was. And when they put a fence on the pool, around the swings and slides, the kids would push out and move away from the swings and slides, but they'd only go as far as the fence. And then when they took the fence away and moved the fence further away, the kids would go away as far as the new fence. It's like people will only go as far as their brain has got a reference for and a framework for. And if you've got no reference, which is most people, I don't know, or a reference that you don't understand, $2 million, your brain doesn't really know how to break that down. And if it can't break it down, it doesn't know what to focus on. And this business is built in little blocks of 5 minutes, little blocks of an hour, little blocks of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days strung together very well. 3 or 4 good weeks put together makes a good month, and you get a promotion. And then you do that 2 or 3 months in a row, and all of a sudden you get to SSC and you go, holy crap, I just got a $4,000 check. So those little building blocks count. I just think it's really useful to know about what your vision is and what that looks like. So I know I went on a little bit about last week, and I'm maybe going on about it purposely today, but I know what's worked very well for Karina and I in the last 10 years of our wealth creation is being very clear on what do we want, how much does that cost, and then what do we have to do to go make that happen. And the last bit, what do we have to do, usually becomes quite clear when you know what is it you want, and obviously why do you want it, and what's that going to cost? What's that house payment? What's that monthly payment? What does that look like? So that's why I kind of went on a rant last week. I know the numbers very well, and you asked my wife again. I think I mentioned last week, I'm always chatting about the numbers and the money, and here's what's great. Once you've done it, you don't have to do it for another 12 months. So this is not something you got to do every week, but once you know in your brain, that's it. Between now and Christmas, we want this much money, and we know why and what that's for and where it's going to go. And then you go get it. And it might take 6 months. So you never have to do this again for 6 months. And then you do it for 12 months. Go, right, next year we want this much. Why do we want it? Well, because of A, B, and C. Okay, well, what does that look like? And where's it going to go? And what will that give us? Great. Then you go to work for 12 months and you do all that stuff. So it's not something you do every week. You don't work on your vision every week. You don't have to do the numbers every week. But I think it's important, if you're going to get a tattoo, this is the tattoo to get. So that then each day when you're doing reach outs and you're doing follow-ups and sending out links and you're coming to live trainings, all those little actions, all those little movements are like lily pads at the top of the pond linked to the core reason of why I'm doing this. I know what I'm doing. So I just wanted to put that cap on last week's call and certainly open up the conversation to anybody who wants to maybe ask any question about how do you work this out, or what does that mean, or I'm a bit stuck. I don't know what $5,000 a month means or $10,000 a month means. I know you know what the number means, but what does that mean in terms of lifestyle, car payments, house payments? We've all got them. We've all got a car payment and a house payment and a grocery payment, and we want to travel more. We've all got them. So I think it's worth talking about those things because for us, my wife and I, those are the things that impact the quality of your life. Imagine right now if you knew what your car payment, house payment, and insurance payments were, and you knew what that monthly number was, and even if it doesn't mean you're financially free, but imagine if you knew what those numbers were combined each month, and you suddenly went, holy smokes, my Juice Plus business is making that number. That Juice Plus business is now paying for my rent or my mortgage and my car payment and my insurance. Holy fuck, that's unbelievable. Like I think that's steps to be working towards progressively with greater and greater excitement, rather than $20,000 a month or $100,000 a year. Sometimes that's a little bit too, it's too much of a big piece all at once. So I'll be quiet. Some of you have nodded off to sleep. So I'll stop talking and just open it up. It's our group. We're a little family, little chat group. This is not me coaching. This is just us chatting and let you guys ask whatever you want to ask and see if myself or anybody else has got anything they want to share or add value around this conversation. Freddie, you're running the call, I think. I think you can unmute yourselves if you want to chat.
Hi, Scott, you there?
Is that Kylie?
Yeah, it is.
How are you?
Well, Scott, I just had another friend on that call, and first time she's separated from her partner and moved up to the Gold Coast. Actually, she's in Broadbeach, and she has a little grandson living with her. And I've just sent her a message and sort of said, great to see you on there. And she's just said, thanks for the opportunity. It's good to watch. Not sure if I can sell this product as I'm not on Facebook very much and I don't have many friends. So we seem to keep hearing that a lot. So yeah, I'm just sort of, putting her at ease with that and writing back saying, I felt the same way. But you don't really need to know a lot of people. And, we're with you every step of the way anyway. And, we help you through it. You crawl and walk and run.
I think it's important to always do feel, felt, found.
Yeah.
So it's important when you say I felt the same to always do the pre-frame of what, I know how you feel, totally get it. I was on Facebook more when I first jumped on board. I know how you feel because I felt the same. I didn't really want to be on Facebook every day and didn't have a lot of friends. And you know what I found? And then give her a solution. And the solution is, what I found? I met incredible people who built this business entirely talking face-to-face with people. Yeah. Adam Westwick's a great example. Go look at Adam Westwick's page. He's not ever, the only photos he ever posts is now that he's rich of him playing golf somewhere.
Yeah.
That's it. Adam Westwick never did a marketing reach out. He never did a reach out about, hey, do you want to join my business? I've got a cool opportunity. He never posted himself in yoga pants, drinking his berries and smoothies. Thank God. He never did any of that. He did all of his business, literally, every person came within 6 feet of them. He just reaches his hand and goes, "G'day, how you going? Nice to, I'm Adam. What do you do?" Tell her a story. And then also say, and certainly, we've got lots of great trainings and so forth, and certainly we can teach you how to use social media. And then, so give her a solution and then revisit her reason for wanting to do it. Yeah. So you know what, babe, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same. You know what I found? I found there's amazing people who built this business person to person. I look at Shane and Jess and, I built that with them face to face. I look at Sally and we did that with face to face. And we've also got some great training in our team business that allows you to learn how to do this through social media if you want to. But the real thing to chat about, babe, is that reason why you want it, and go back to why does she want it? She has a grandson. Is it for a bigger house? Is it to take her grandson to private school? Is it like, you got to know the reason why. Whenever someone sees or expresses a hurdle, I'm too old, I don't do Facebook, I haven't got any friends, I haven't got any time, it doesn't feel right, all those hurdles, you've got to link it back to the reason why this would be attractive to them.
She's still very interested. She's just said, it's really interesting and I still want to learn more.
Great. So knowing what you know about it, what do you need to send her next?
Well, I think, as you say, I felt that way as well. But definitely back to her grandson, because she's doing an amazing job with him. And, I know she's at home, I know she's not working, and she said, I just feel like I need something.
Great.
It may not be Facebook, because I don't think she really wants to go so public. It's a pretty horrible, breakup, and I don't think she wants to do the whole public Facebook thing.
Teach her how to get a customer just by talking to the ladies. Listen, I loved going to the Noosa training we did a couple of months ago with Team Built Freestyle and hearing about the ladies who have customers. And there was a lady there, I forget her name, somebody might know it, and she had about 60 customers, and she just has her shoes in a handbag and the capsules in the kids' backpacks. And when they're at swimming training and when she's doing drop off and pick up in the morning and the kids, get out of the pool, they'll have some shoes. One of the other moms will say, "What's that? What are you taking?" And she tells them what it is. And teach her how to get customers just from the people that she knows. In her apartment complex, the other mums from the kids, if the kids going to daycare or kindy. This is not 100% you've got to be on Facebook business. It is a person It's a person belly to belly business. It really is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sweet. Anybody
Scotty.
got? Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, like, if you could just help do like a bit of a breakdown on the figures. Like, I've definitely got like one of those big figures of 25,000 in my head.
Yeah.
And I'd also done like the physical breakdown of 7,000 would go here, 6,000 would go there, and everything else.
Right.
I'm good on the big picture stuff, but it's like, how do I bring that back to, I guess, to get excited like month to month, and then to build that out, and then to, I guess, prioritize. And I know that's just making a decision with a lot of things, but to prioritize what comes first and what should I be going for, kind of thing.
I think in financial education and financial freedom and planning our lives, I think not enough people talk about home base. And they talk about the stars, the Bangles, and the jets, and the helicopters, and the $1 million lifestyle, and yada yada. But I like home base, and home base means we're safe. And it's not sexy to sell, and it's not sexy to talk about, because everyone wants to talk about the cars and the bling and the diamonds and whatever. But dude, I like being safe. And safe means, for most people, what does it cost to sleep in the bed that I'm sleeping in? And by that I mean you've either got a mortgage or rent. That's it. And if you own your house, awesome. Now, if you're living in someone else's house, I always say to people, well, what would it cost to get the equivalent bed? Is it $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $5,000? What does it cost to sleep in this bed? You've got to know that number. That's the first number you write down.
Yeah.
What does it cost to keep this house cool if you live on the Gold Coast, or warm if you live in Melbourne? So what does it cost to keep this house warm or cool? Which means there's electricity, there's a fridge, there's some internet. Like, what does that cost? Because you need to be cold or warm depending on where you live. You can't live in Darwin without air conditioning. You can't live in Melbourne without a heater. I've done that as a kid. It's no good. You've got to have a heater. So what does it cost to keep the cave safe? It would be that.
And if you're in Wagga, you need both.
Well, you need both. That's the first thing. And the third thing is, what do I need to keep food in the fridge? Now, that sounds like a funny conversation, but what do I need to keep food in the fridge? Is that $200 a week, $300 a week, $400 a week, $500 a week? What is that number?
Yeah, no, I'm aware of all of those costs.
And then the minute you know that number, you go, great, well, and here's just thing for all of you, you're never allowed to speak in weekly numbers ever again. You have to speak in monthly numbers. Wealthy people talk in months. Poor people talk in weeks because they live week to week. And stupid people talk in yearly numbers. And the reason they talk in yearly numbers is because they're big numbers. I'm going to make $100,000. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make $5 million. Wealthy people talk in months. It's a bite-sized piece. That's why this business is measured in a month. It's why it's months. Months, what do you do? It's why you rent in a month. So great. Okay, what do those three numbers cost me? My rent to sleep in this bed, the number to keep it safe, which is usually some electricity, my internet, my phone, those things that are basic essentials, water, maybe include that, water and gas and those things. And what does it cost for me to eat my groceries? Now, I'm not talking about what does it cost to be free. I'm not talking about what does it cost to eat at the casino Japanese restaurant where it's $200 a meal. I'm talking about what does it cost to buy broccoli, cucumber, tofu, fish, bread, and be safe. And then know that number. Okay, that number. And I remember when I first did that number, and for us, when I first did it, it was something like $3,700. Like, that was the number per month. And I remember I went, right, that's my first goal. My first goal was to get to that number. Because that number doesn't mean I'm going to be free. I'm still going to want to fancy a car. I'm still going to want to go to Tony Robbins seminars. I'm still going to buy nice things for life. But if I get to that number, $3,700, that was my number. Yours might be different. Geez, that's a big bit of safety. That's a big bit of safety to know that my bed's paid for, all my electricity and gas and utilities are paid for, and my food's paid for. Geez, you're pretty safe now. Things could get pretty bad, and I'm safe. And I know what that number is. And I think that's a pretty sexy number to get to. Because I think you have a little breath when you go do that, and you go, oh, okay, we're only doing it part-time. It's not our full-time gig, but already we've reached that first base called home base, called safe. And then you put your eyes up and you look at a few magazines and you look online and you go to some seminars and you go, actually, you know what? I am safe, but I'd like to be a little bit free. And so you go a little bit free and you look for whatever's next. And you go, well, what would it cost me to live in a house, to sleep in the bed that I'd like to sleep in, which is the next level of bed or the next level of car or the next level of whatever it is. Not completely free, but just the next level. Okay, well, right now I'm living in a little 3-bedroom house. Those of you who know me here, Corinne and I, before this house, we lived in a pretty nice house, but the house before this had 2 bedrooms and 1 toilet. And there was 4 people and a personal assistant and a cleaner in the house all the time. We had 1 toilet. And so what does it cost to get to the next level? And so then you go, great, well, what would that cost? What would it cost if I added to those 3 things, my bed, my utilities, and my food? If I added to that, well, what would it cost for, I don't know, a little bit of travel, a little bit of fun, and maybe a little bit nicer house? What would that number be? And that number, I know for me, I remember these numbers because they were real for me. I remember it being $6,500. Now, you may or may not relate to the number, but I remember the number still from 10 years ago. Fuck, if we could get to 6,500, we're not just safe, we're a little bit comfortable. And I remember that number still to this day. It's like that number now is my next goal. I got to get to 6,500 a month. If I can do $6,500 a month, I'm now at comfortable. And then it just kept growing. Now, obviously, over the last 10 years, my family's kept growing, so those numbers have moved and so forth. But I remember the next number. It's like, wow, okay, well, what's that next number? Okay, great. And I think it's important to work towards that and know what that would look like. So you said, well, and you start with where you are today. The bed that you're going to sleep in tonight, assuming you're not a hussy and you're not, I'm joking. The bed you're going to sleep in tonight, what's that? Is it $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month? What does that cost? And what does it cost to keep it safe and warm? Because that's important. You want the bed to be safe and warm. Great number, Vanessa. And then what does it cost me to buy fruit and veg? Groceries, organic broccoli, whatever you buy. Juice plus choose. Yeah. That's your first target. I'm not saying you shouldn't dream, but dreaming is something you get to do every 3 months or 6 months. One day, look at some property online, look at some cars online, look at some holidays online, look at some whatever excites you. Trust me, I look all the time. My wife, I'm always looking. But I think in financial security, and that's what we're all here for, we all want to own our own life. Nobody is talking about getting safe first. And I reckon safe is awesome. I love safe. Safe is like, fuck you, world. There's a great film called The Gambler. And there's a great line in it from, what's that big guy who stars in Roseanne? Tom Arnold, is that his name?
Or is it?
Tom Arnold. And he said this great, he's talking to this guy who's a gambler. And Tom Arnold says to him, he says, here is your mission in life. Your mission in life is to pay off your house, have enough money in the bank that you can say to the whole world, fuck you. So who cares if Donald Trump is president? Who cares who's the Prime Minister of Australia? Who cares what the price of petrol is? Who cares what the interest rates are? Who cares I get the world's going crazy, but get safe first. And you can only get safe when you know what the numbers are. And I'm not saying don't dream. Trust me, I'm all about the dreaming. You want to dream, the bigger house, the bigger car, the bigger trips. Trust me, I love dreaming. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I think that first step of get safe first. And what's that first level? What's that second level? And then what's that third level? And when you know that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, now I know what it is. Unless you know what it costs to go to Bali for a week with your family, how can you make that a goal? Mm. How can you make that a goal if you haven't done it? Not like saying personal, I'm saying you haven't done that goal. I was talking to some friends on the weekend and they're planning their first trip to Europe as a family of 5. And they've been to Europe and they want to go for a month. And they got no idea what it's going to cost. None, zero. And that makes it hard to plan. That makes it hard to budget for and hard to be real if your brain doesn't know, okay, here's the deal. We need to find, and I told them, I said, what number was for us? I said, when we go to Europe, it costs us 40 grand a month. That's what it costs. I know that because we've gone to Europe every second year the last 5 or 6 years. It costs 40 grand a month. That's what we spend, plus airfares. So I just said, when you know that, it makes it a bit more real. You've got to go, okay, cool. Now I can do it. Now I know what that means. I know what I have to do to make a holiday to Bali happen. I know what I have to do to make a month in Europe happen. I know what I have to do to X, Y, Z. I just think that kind of helps. Does that help, Sal, at all?
Yeah, yep. No, that's really good. And I think then the second step of that is then breaking it down, which was what you'd spoken about Adam potentially doing, like in terms of the business numbers to actually then, yeah.
And we'll do that next week. I'll get out. He's been away still. He's still away in Canada doing almost all amazing, incredible things. But then the next step is really simple. Great. What do I have to do to get $6,500 a month? That was my number.
Yeah.
And have someone smarter than you, which is what I did, tell me what to do. Great. You need, and then the other question is, how quick do you want to do it? Is it 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12? You get to make that decision. And the minute somebody like Adam says, well, here is what you need to do to make that happen in 6 months, then you just work backwards and you go, hey, it's not 5 reach outs a day. It might be 7. It might be 10. It might be 14. Depends how quick and how fast you want to get there.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people make the mistake of calling this a passive business. It's not a passive business. Passive business is as stupid as the idea of passive health. You don't get to be healthy passively. And a friend of mine, Keith Cunningham, would say you don't get to have sex passively. Go home and tell your spouse you want to have some passive sex and see how that works. Doesn't work. This is not a passive business. You got to go to work. But just work out, what does that number mean? And it's all can all be broken down into clubs, levels, and we know that clubs and levels are broken down to more smaller little levels, which is all broken down to reach outs. And once you know that number, it gets to be pretty simple. Your goal is great. Every single day, the next 90 days or 120 days or 180 days or 365 days or 1,000 days, that's 3 years. Great. How many reach outs do I have to do based on what I said I want in the time frame that I want? And then you do what I do. I talk a lot about it. You take your dream building hat off, put your worker bee hat on, and you just go to work. And you don't take the worker bee hat off until you get to that first level, whatever the first level is, and you take it off and you put the dream building hat back on and go, great, what's next? Oh, I'd like one of those. I'd like one of those. Great. What's that going to cost? Work it out. Put your worker bee hat back on, get back to work. You know, I think you've probably heard me say this before, Sally, but I kind of like that model where, you know, geez, to be a successful koala bear, you just do the same thing every day. To be a successful lion, you just do the same thing every day. To be successful in almost anything, you just do the same thing every day. To be successful in health, you just do the same thing every day. You get up and you eat some broccoli and salad and you have some protein and you have a shake and you take your supplements and you drink water and then you wash, rinse and repeat. And I think it's the same with anything. Repetition, 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 repetition. You know, I love being a worker bee. And the thing about, I'm glad you like it too, Nessa. The thing about being a worker bee, for me, means I don't have to think. I don't want to think every day. It's exhausting. I don't want to use mental energy battling with myself. I don't want to use emotional energy doing that. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. Will I, won't I, can I, can't I, shall I, shan't I? It's fucking exhausting. Just the in, out, shall I, shan't I, can I, can't I debate. I don't want to do it. I just want to be a worker bee. Worker bees put their hats on and just buzz. Just buzz. Go do the buzzing. And we know what the buzzing is. Reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out. Curiosity, curiosity, curiosity. Send link, send link, send link. Book 3-way. I mean, that's it. I don't want to do the emotional dance every day. What am I going to do today? Am I really? It's exhausting. We've all done it, and it takes up more energy than just doing the thing. You know, you never want to ask yourself the question, oh, what am I going to have for breakfast today? I mean, just that question alone takes up more energy than just making the X's, making the breakfast. So I just think, decide, emote, feel, write it down, get some coaching from someone who says, here's what it's going to look like, and then get to work. That's kind of my thought on that. Sorry, I'm talking a lot today. I apologize, Karina. Reel me in if you need to, but I'm happy to chat about this. I think it's really important to get it done. And then for this next, 60 days until now, a conference, everyone just goes to work. And then at conference, you recalibrate and you get listen, a great time to plan a dream is with 3 glasses of wine. And I say that with a little tongue in cheek, but when you've got 3 glasses of wine in you, some of your fears and doubts and limitations are knocked over or brushed aside a bit. If you're old, you'll know a phrase called Dutch courage. You get a bit of Dutch courage up when you've got 3 beers in you or 3 wines in you, and you start to say things that you might never say out loud again, like, oh, I'd love to own a boat, or I'd love to go to Europe and take my kids there, or I'd love to buy my kids a horse, I'd love to whatever. Dream it, capture it, write it down. Next day, ask yourself, great, what's that going to cost? Next day, ask Adam, great, well, how many levels and how many clubs is that? Next day, worker bee hat, go to work.
Thanks, Scotty. That's perfect.
You're welcome. That's all I got. I don't know if that's useful to anybody. There's a few people asleep.
Okay, Scott, I have a question.
Yes, mate.
We are using social media in both ways, with hot leads, with people we know, and we are not facing any problem on that side.
Yep.
We have many cold leads. People don't have a large amount of time to build a good relationship with. And we are facing the challenge that with many of them, it's difficult to follow up because they start not answering the call or the message or whatever. So I was wondering, is there anything we can do as a mind reading tool to address the problem in advance?
I'll tell you a story because I like to tell stories, and then continue on with the metaphor of the bee. And you may have heard the story. So if you have, I apologize, but it's a story about bees. And in business and in life, there are bees and then there are flowers. And the bees are very, very, very busy running around from flower to flower as quickly as they possibly can, hustling as much as they possibly can because they want to make honey, because that's what they do. And so they work very, very hard. And they compete against the other bees and they fight against the other bees. They continue to have to reach out to further and further flowers, further and further away from where they are, and go outside their range and outside their comfort zone. They work very long days, but they're always hustling to get to the next flower, hoping to make some more honey. It's an exhausting life. In fact, the word they use for bees is called busy bees. And then there's the flowers. The flowers don't do anything. They don't rush around. They don't chase the next bee. They just do one simple thing. They ask themselves every day, how can I make my nectar sweeter and better than the nectar on the flower next door? And if my nectar is continually sweet and delicious, the bees will come to me. I don't know if that translated into Italian at all or not. Thank you, Melanie. And what that means is you got to make what you're posting, what you're doing valuable. It's got to be valuable and engaging. It's got to be enticing. It's got to be something that other people are hooked by. It's got to be, you know, I saw Jess Shembry did a post. Who saw, raise your hands if you saw Jess Shembry's pineapple post. Anybody see it?
No.
Nobody? Oh my God, go look at it. It's crazy. She posted a picture of a pineapple and then wrote, so this is a posting for an Own Your Own Life call. So just a normal Own Your Life call. Now the normal Own Your Own Life call posting has what? A picture of a sailboat and a pretty good looking couple and a sunset and some money and something about create freedom in your life. That's what they all say. If you go look at it, does that make sense? This one was a picture of a pineapple and the phrase just said something crazy like, aren't you curious to know what I do? PM me. That's all it said. I was like, wow, that's a fucking good post. And so I don't have an answer for you that's specific, Ivano, except to say you've got to be engaging and enticing in conversations so that you're different. You know, what most people do in business is they try and do what everyone else is doing, but 5% better. Don't do that. Do what no one else is doing. And then even if it's shitty, it'll be 1,000% better because no one else is doing it. Most people in MLM are trying to do what everyone else is doing, and they're trying to do it 5% better, and we're all competing against each other. When you're looking to build friendships, build relationships, it's still the same philosophy of reaching out and creating curiosity, but add that element to it of sweet nectar that people are drawn to it.
Okay.
Nothing else. You've got a funny story about bees and flowers. Melanie's like, what is he talking about? What else?
Hey, Scotty, I've got a question for you that you might be able to give me some insight on. I was on Fraser Brooks training last night with Kira. One of the things that really stood out for me, aside from so many things he said, was just using Facebook Live and being committed to it, and kind of like creating like your own channel, like where people can rely on it, that you're going to show up at a certain time each week or each day. So I was thinking about that today around the best time to just book it into my calendar and go, you know what, I really need to use Facebook Live more often and be consistent with it. I was going to go with 5:45 p.m. Do you have, what you're shaking your head? Give me some insight. What time would you choose?
Well, certainly not 5:45. A parent, tell him, married man but with no kids, somebody tell him why 5:45 is a bad time. Any parent, tell him.
It's crazy hour. There is no time we are watching Facebook at that time.
There's no answering phones or looking at Facebook between 4 and 7 o'clock. Are you crazy?
It's the time we all need a wine. And if our husbands are coming home from work, that's when they should be coming home to support the family.
Yeah. So universally, the answer is not 5:45.
Okay.
Just saying. That's it. So it needs to be later or earlier, and I would think probably earlier is the answer. I think that you'd probably think that 2 or 3 o'clock is the time zone you want to be in.
Okay.
That's what my marketing research would tell me. Something like 2 or 3 o'clock is where it's post-lunch. People take lunch later at work. By 2 or 3 o'clock, they start to skive off and dick around at work. So they're not as productive as they should be. They're usually busier and more focused at work. When people get into work at 8:30, 9 o'clock, drink their coffee, eventually by 10 o'clock start work, have lunch about 1:30. So somewhere around 2 or 3 o'clock, they start to be watching things they shouldn't watch. And then certainly if you're a mum, before 3 is ideal, because at 3 o'clock, everyone's getting in cars and going somewhere. 10 to 3, quarter to 3 is when most mums are driving somewhere. So certainly that's why I say sort of somewhere between 2 and 3. But I will say this. I've heard the same feedback from so many people about consistency. Part of the reason that Neighbours, the TV show, has been on for 35 years is because rain, hail or shine, everybody knows it's on at fucking 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever it is, and it's just on. So regularity, consistency should certainly be a beautiful thing. And as Kira said a million times, you could be doing Facebooks, and just because there's no likes and no comments doesn't mean they're not watching. And you don't know if it's going to take 12 or 16 or 18 or 27 times after watching your videos before they finally say, you know what, I'm going to do that. So
it's funny you say that. I had someone today I was speaking to that I used to work with 9 years ago, and I spoke to her today, and she said, you know what, your posts always show up on my Facebook feed, and I've been watching your progress for the last 8 years. And this is the first time I've spoken to her in 9 years.
I get it.
It's amazing just how many lurkers are out there actually seeing your posts that you have no idea. It's in their awareness.
I had a phone call yesterday. Corinne will tell you, I got a phone call yesterday from one of my best friends when I was 15. I'm 50. One of my best friends when I was 15, his little sister, who was 12, rang me yesterday and said, oh, I see that your son's a goalkeeper in soccer. I've got a 26-year-old kid who is a professional goalkeeper for a blah, blah, blah team in Melbourne. Would he like some coaching? I was like, fuck, okay, that's a weird phone call. So yes, people watch your posts, they watch your things. And here's the thing, if you saw Lauren, I saw Lauren do a video last week, Lauren Slope, if you know Lauren Slope, if you don't, one day you will. Lauren said to Jeff Roberti, so Jeff Roberti is the $100 million man from Juice Plus. Jeff Roberti is the $100 million man. She said no to Jeff for 17 straight years. She's now got $1 million business. She said no to Jeff for 17 straight years. She knew him personally. So should you do it consistently? I can't say yes because I don't do Facebook Live consistently. I absolutely should. But certainly consistency beats brilliance all day, every day. Consistency beats an ugly head or a cute girl or a smart person. Consistency beats everything in this game. It doesn't matter how tall, how skinny, how smart, how cute, how famous, how whatever you are, consistency all day, every day wins in this game. It just does. I've been in for a year now. I've just seen it We've tried everything. We're going to do Facebook. We're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Listen, it's consistency. It just is. That's the magic of it. It's so equal and so fair. So, yes, it's good to be smart. So don't do your posts at 5:45. But certainly I think if you went live every day at 2:30 for the next year, trust me, it'll have some value.
What's the cutoff?
What do you mean? What's the cutoff?
What's the latest that, like, because obviously there's a point where all the kids get into bed. So, like, for me, it's usually after I finish doing all my DMOs and all these calls that then I actually sit on my phone. Throughout the day, I don't.
I think probably you wouldn't go live at night time because I think people have got varying habits depending if their kids are 4 or 12 or 16 or 18 and they're doing stuff. But I think that they could certainly get on their iPads and on their phones and look at stuff that was posted during the day. And be posting it at 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon is not too far away in their feed to still show up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, 2:30 every afternoon. Bang! I'm putting it out there.
Fraser Brooks did 9 p.m. on Tuesdays for like every week, so it was once a week. So even once a week for those of us who aren't like,
fuck it, I'll do 5 days a week.
That aren't like Shane, who are just going to be like, that's it. Rah! For me, I'm like, cool. Let me just commit to one day.
100%. And again, that's how a show like the Oprah show sticks. That's how continuity, consistency. If it's every Tuesday for the next 50 of them, there'd be some value in that. If you became the Tuesday night girl, at 9 p.m. Tuesday night with Jess, Brave Babes, 9 p.m. Tuesday night, you'd start to get a following. And
hey, stop looking at me.
I mean, and that's what it needs. It just needs to be consistent. There's no question. And Tuesday's a great night because Tuesday is a night in retail, in work, in school activities. Tuesday is that night that is a little bit innocuous.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any questions? I like it.
You, Scotty.
Babe, anything to add? My amazing wife who's cleverer than me.
Did you want to hot seat anyone tonight?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I can see you want to. I would just, rather than hot seat somebody, I guess this is just me giving you my experience of what's worked successfully in my life right now, both in Juice Plus and in just getting financial security and financial freedom. Is just, and I know this is the second call in a row about this, but just know your numbers, man. Know your numbers. Know what things in your life cost and what it would feel like to have Juice Plus pay for that, and be excited by that, and then get to work. And I just think it just gives you such a better fuel when you've got a very clear frame about what that means. If I looked at every book in my library behind here, not one of them would say in chapter 1, not one of them would say, I don't have a goal. That's a stupid idea. You don't have a vision. You should just be vague about what you want. Not one of the books would say that. Every single one of those books, and they're all on the same topic, every single one would say something like, get a vision, be very clear, be very precise about it. That's what you do in chapter 1. Write it down, stick it on a poster, put it in front of your face, get some good coaching on it, and then go to work. That's what whether the book was written 2,000 years ago called The Good Book, or whether it was written last week, or whether it's written 50 years ago, every book on success would say in chapter 1, get the vision, get the goal, know what it is, know why you want it, write it down, be very clear, go to work. But don't forget that first step of why do you want it, what is it about, what's it look like, what's it costing, go to work. And then when you get to it, great question, what's next? And what's next is always a fun question. There's always a bigger boat. There's always more planes to travel on. There's always somewhere else to go.
That might be it.
It might be it. Listen, I'm excited, guys. Last couple of days to get people into the shred, obviously. It's kicking off real deal on Sunday. Some have already started. I think I've half started. I've had a shred day and then an off day and then a shred day and then an off day. Does that count? Today was soup for dinner, so it must have been a shred day today. So I don't know what everyone else is doing, but I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to getting back. Yeah, it's a great sentence, Mel. Until you get very clear on what you want, you'll kind of get something else sort of, and it won't be the same. It really is. So as I said, and the good news is once you've done it once, you don't have to do it again for a long time. A long time might be 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. It's not something you do all the time. You just do it once, put it in your brain, put it on your fridge, put it on your bathroom mirror, get to work. It's kind of a fun thing. So with that, you're all awesome and amazing. Go get the last couple of clients and customers into the program, into the shred before we kick off on Sunday. And other than that, you know where to find us. Have a beautiful week. Take lots of action. Live very deliberately. Thanks for all your questions, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
And welcome to our friends from Italy tuning in on a different time zone. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Italy too.
Yes. Good night.